Thanks for checking out episode 11 of the Enkindle Columbus podcast. You're listening to Don't Look Back by the Broken Relics.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Enkindle Columbus. Also, did you know we started a Patreon? For as low as $2 a month, you can support the local music scene and get your name mentioned on the podcast as a supporter.
If you want to hear more from the Broken Relics, check these guys out on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, and just about anywhere you can find music online. Don't forget to give them a follow on Instagram at The Broken Relics. Anyways, here's the podcast. Welcome to episode 11 of the Enkindle Columbus podcast. My name's Zach.
And this is Alonzo, and today we're with Zach and Alex of the Broken Relics.
Hey guys, how's it going?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in. I know we just met moments ago, turned the microphones on, but it feels like I've known you guys forever.
Yeah, right.
It's I don't know what it is. It's just, it could be the microphones, just the whole experience feels good.
Could be the beer.
It could be the beer.
That helps, yeah.
No, but we do appreciate you guys coming in. I know we're missing, what's the two names of your other guys in the band?
So we have my brother and the lead singer, rhythm guitarist, Bryce Warmouth, and then we also have our drummer, also Zach Potkanowitz. We call him Potsy, so if we refer to him as Potsy throughout, that's who we are talking about.
Awesome. So how'd you guys, I guess, we'll start off, how'd Broken Relics start? You guys haven't been, I know you haven't been on the scene for too long now, but what you've done it's been pretty big.
Yeah, making a huge impact.
I'll let Zach explain the band part of it, but him and I have been playing together for 3-4 years now, just kind of in between other side bands and just kind of doing that basement jamming and all that stuff.
Yeah,
We've always
for
wanted
sure.
to make something happen, and then something kind of fell into our laps, and I'll let him kind of take over this part of the story. But
Yeah, so basically I've been in and out of bands since high school, throughout college. Like Alex said, me and him were roommates for a year in college, and we lived all like around near the same area throughout college too. And so we were always playing, trying to get something started. And after just, a couple projects here and there that didn't really go the way we wanted, I was calling it quits. I decided kind of to go back into my own little corner and start fresh. I was like, I'm going to start from all the little building blocks that we could think of. And I kind of took the Dave Grohl approach, do the music first, then
Band later.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And because, starting to think of like the ideas of like, what did I want the band to be overall? Like, what were the goals? So the idea of the Broken Relics was something that I've had for a while. Just waiting for the right people to come along. And I always, because we played for so long, I knew Alex would be in the band at some point, but it was just starting it up at the beginning was something I needed to do on my own first to just make sure it was all set up.
And I mean, through this, we were in constant communication.
Right,
it wasn't
yeah.
like we went our separate ways or anything. I mean, we're friends before we're bandmates.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But we just kind of
That's not like
Yeah,
I
it does
actually
help. Yeah.
physically disappeared
We
for
took
2
two.
years.
We just took two different approaches to it. He kind of locked himself in a corner and wrote, and I kind of stepped aside and did something I don't usually do, which is play in cover bands and just kind of go to bars and play for a few hours, just to kind of stay with it, but not like stress out about having to write a new song or this, that, and the other, be a part of writing a new song. So
Right.
After that kind of
So then
break happened, I guess you could call it, we got back into it because it
Right.
Bryce.
The big moment that inevitably ended up being the Broken Relics was I went home the one day back to Youngstown, and Bryce, my little brother, came to me with a song he wrote. He was like, hey, I didn't know he wrote music even. I knew he liked music, obviously. But he was like, I wrote this song. You can use it if you want. And I was like, okay. So he started playing it and started singing, too. And I was like, oh, you
like,
can
okay,
sing.
This is good. All right.
So I was like, this is a thing now. I hope you wanted to be in a band because you're in a band now. So and then me and him started writing together, and it was, I'm sure being brothers helps a lot, but we just clicked like nothing.
Yeah.
It was unreal, and we just started writing together. Then I brought him on, and then Bryce knows Potsy from high school. They're doing some mutual bands here and there.
Which, if I could interrupt real quick,
Yeah.
what's cool about that too is even though we all graduated different years, and I mean the age gap between him and his brother are 5 years. We all graduated from the same high school, grew up in the same hometown. Like our families know each other, so it's like it's really cool to be in a band where you didn't find people off Craigslist, or you didn't just like,
Yeah, no, it's
hey
really
man,
cool.
do you
You
want
guys
to join my
feel
band?
nice.
It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, you have
it's
that
kind of like
history.
a family band of sorts. It's,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
awesome to be a part of. It feels so much different than just playing music with your buddies. It's like,
Right.
Do you think that's the biggest difference out of all of your guys' bands ever is, like, when it comes to Broken Relics, do you guys feel like since you have that family, quote-unquote, connection there, I mean, you literally do have the family
Right.
connection, but, like, do you think that's what is the difference between all your other bands until now?
I think it's a big component. For
I think
sure.
it's a big component. It's not the full component. I think it's everyone has a busy schedule. I mean, we left work today after working all day just to come here and like meet with you guys.
And we
it's-
appreciate it.
No, I'm not saying we're going out of our way. I'm saying it's because it's what we love to do. And when you're not a solo artist or a studio musician or this, that, and the other, you're relying on other people. And I think that's
Absolutely.
why a lot of people dive into like three pieces, because if you're all equally talented, it's
less
easy to do.
people
But
you have to-
I mean, with them being in Youngstown and us being here, like it gets stressful at times trying to organize schedules and do it. But we've all just kind of said from the beginning, like, if no one's in it 100%, we're not going to feel bad, but get out now because we're going for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
we want to do this.
Yeah,
and
for
that.
sure.
I think that's the main difference, because
Yeah.
we all have the talent. We all have like,
because of the connections and everything, we were all very comfortable, kind of not setting parameters, but like saying this stuff up front. The one big thing that I wanted before anybody was actually officially part of the band, including my brother, he even went through his own trials to make sure that he was in on it, because I wanted to make sure that everybody had the same mindset, not just about the music itself, but about what the band is, about taking it a certain level of, taking it serious to a certain extent and everything.
but
So
also
I think
having
that's
fun.
the thing. Yeah.
It's easy
Yeah,
to
for
have fun
sure.
with people you know, or
For
you
sure.
grew up with.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, so that was me and my brother started writing together in like February of 2018. Then we, as the Broken Relics, we're officially formed, I'd say, in like April probably of
I think our first
2018.
practice was
Okay.
roughly over a
Roughly
year
around
ago.
April. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. You guys have made like huge progress in that time.
Well, that's a fun story. Because before that, again, going back to when we played together, we tried to write some songs. We put some together. None of them were recorded or released, but it felt like it took like 3 years to learn how to play with different people and write 3 songs. Then this one, Bryce got just a message on social media. I don't know if it's Facebook or Instagram or what. It might have been through the band page, but was just like, hey, I work with new artists. I give people great deals. This guy's name is John Burke. He used to live in Cleveland. He moved down to Nashville to kind of kickstart his freelancing, recording, mixing, mastering. And he offered us a great rate. He was like, come down for a long weekend. I'll get you in the studio. I'll guarantee you 5 songs. And we were like, this is almost too good to be true.
Yeah, you can't really beat that. Right.
However, let's sign up for it and let's just see what happens, because it wasn't a crazy amount of money. And then it forced us to not only write 5 songs, but write more than that so we could pick what songs we want on the record. And it was kind of like the kickstart to like, okay, shit, you guys are doing this. Go for it. Be serious about it. Lock in. And a year later, it was just like, wow, I can't believe that all happened.
And
Like,
the one thing we had like mutual social media friends with him from him living in Cleveland originally, and so I think that's where the connection was made. But some of the bands that he worked with, who are like Columbus bands and stuff, when I was telling them, I was like, look, like I trust their judgment more than anything. If they worked with
that's
him,
true.
then
That is very true.
He's got to be good to some point. And like he said, we could have kept going along this line of, oh, maybe we'll be ready. Maybe at this point we'll have some songs written. Maybe we can get in and record. But then instead of doing that nonsense for 3 years,
Yeah,
we
you
were
guys
like,
took that step and jumped right in and
exactly.
just did it.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is the date we are going to record 5 songs, and we will be ready for it, period. So that was like, it forced us to get ready, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So,
Now, where did the name come from, the Broken Relics?
whew, that's my favorite story. so it's funny. I've had this name since 2015. I looked it up to make sure that I had the right year. 2015, when I was in school still at Ohio State. I always liked the idea of using broken as an adjective inside of the band name. So at this point, I was still trying to get some projects together, trying to think of the band name, which is the hardest thing to come up with ever. You know?
Yeah, that's something we learned as well going through that. It's like we sat down at Roosters one day, like, how the hell are we going to come up with that?
Right, it's the worst.
I thank God every day for Roosters, honestly. my greatest work comes from Roosters.
Greatest work.
Beer and chicken wings, man.
Yeah, right.
Nothing's better inspiration.
So I always liked Broken because it was not so much just the actual, it could be taken surface level, whereas like broken means not working or something. But I thought of it more of like admitting that there's always something a little bit broken about everybody.
Okay,
it's like kind of like everybody has that something that
for sure.
That's kind of like the dark. Not dark side of them, but just something that's a little bit broken. And then also on like an even deeper level, like different pieces of everything. That's kind of so it's like more of a of a collage of things.
Yeah.
But so I like that adjective. It was like the broken something, And the one time my cousin and I, Kyle, who actually does a lot of the managing and stuff for us, we were at a friend's house and the friend had this little tiki head thing on his dresser, and Kyle knocked it over and it fell on the floor. We thought it broke, and he was like, we almost broke it. I was like, yeah, it looks like a little relic or something, He's like, you broke my relic or whatever. Then we kind of did that, like
there it is,
the Broken Relics. That's a cool name. So at first it was just like, that's a really cool name. I like it, and it stuck for a while. But then as we went, on with it, we started building this whole like idea and backstory to it because we're from Youngstown, which can be seen as sometimes as a broken town sometimes. So, but it's like a town where everybody who comes from there is proud to say they're from there. So it's like it kind of mixed with where we come from, and then also we like to think of as much as we don't like to admit it, like rock and roll that we all love is kind of like a relic of music. Yeah, and we put it on that kind of pedestal of being, it's something that we are seeking after, and then also just like being the Broken Relics, it's like we all have different pieces of influences that all come together to make what our sound is. So it's like as time goes on, we just keep coming up with more stuff for it.
Well, but no, that's cool though. I would have never guessed like the deeper meaning behind it.
Yeah,
and
it's meaningful,
right?
Too. That's super cool.
Right.
So, do you think now with everything you just said, was that the thinking behind with Reverence, your first EP?
So that's a hard question.
With the name, like the actual name itself, or the
name itself, and what your mindset during writing all the songs. What is about five songs on it, right?
Yeah, if it's a person that didn't like initially write 4 out of the 5 songs, or 6 if you consider the piano track, I think what we were trying to do with Reverence is we had a list. I mean, 10, 15 songs to choose from, and we sat down one day and we were like, what 5 songs should we pick? And I think we all had this collective idea that we wanted this to be a really good EP, but we also wanted it to kind of like advertise what we are and what we plan on pushing into the future.
Right, because first impressions are absolutely everything.
And I think that's why it's so crazy. You listen to one song and you like don't look back, and it's upbeat, it's uplifting, and this, that, and the other, and then you go to like you finish out with Immortal, which is just kind of like a very like in your head kind of song,
right?
Yeah, like somber. Right. And so I think just the full spectrum of what we want to do, and kind of use those songs to tie it into one collective piece of art, which is with Reverence, and make it a start to finish good listen, but each individual song might not sound exactly like the next. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of
absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And the name, when we were looking up some stuff, and I just kind of started doing some research online with for things that are related to relics and everything, and one word that kept popping up was reverence. So it was like a relic in, I think it was like in a religious sense, or or a term rather, where it would have like these religious relics, or I think like relic was the word for it, I guess. And to be a relic, you had to like show reverence to the relic.
Okay, that makes sense.
It was like for it to be considered a relic, it had to be held with reverence. I saw that line. And it was like, so basically saying for something to be considered that high up of a level, you have to be so passionate about it. So that was like,
Yeah.
oh, that kind of like cool.
So
So
that makes
I
sense,
looked into
yeah.
like
Right.
the definition of reverence, and there's like kind of everything that we're doing is all with reverence. So like, you know, the music is all written with reverence, so with the highest passion towards music as we can. That's kind of like the
I
whole
really
gist of it,
enjoy
yeah.
that you have like responses for the meaning of your stuff, because there's been so many times like, where'd this come from? Like, we're asking like, where'd the name come from? They're like, sounded cool.
No idea, man. Just thought of it.
You guys put thought
Which
into
there's
it.
nothing
Put action
wrong with
behind
that.
it.
There's absolutely
right.
nothing wrong
Yeah,
with that.
that's
We've just always been like,
Most of that we all like.
You're
we
blowing
like
my
to
mind
look
right
for
now.
the
I'm like,
deeper
this is
meaning.
great. I
And
love
a
everything
lot of
right
the meaning stuff that we come up with is like thought of after the fact. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like, oh, that sounds cool, and it's like the Broken Relics. It just sounded cool at 1st and then all of a sudden after 4 years or whatever, I could tell you a story for
Yeah.
20 minutes about what it's about.
Yeah,
You know,
Well, some of that stuff you don't realize immediately either.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, some of that stuff you look back and you're like, oh, that's where I got that idea from.
Right,
you know?
exactly.
I also think it's funny too because it's like we're collectively a group of guys that tends to always overthink everything. So it's like when it comes to like four dudes choosing a band name, it's like Zach came up with this amazing story behind the band name, and we're like, oh, thank God we all don't have to sit down and think of something. Because we'd have been sitting here right now like, oh, what should our band name
we
be?
would have never
Like,
recorded. We would have taken 2
It'd have been
years
like
to come up with
it'd have been
a
like
name.
Chris
List
Pratt's
of names.
character in what's that show, Parks and Rec, when he's like, "Oh, we're Mouse Rat now." Like,
yeah.
that'd have been us.
He changes names all the
We're
time.
switching back to
time.
Rat Mouse.
Dude, that's funny. So, like with the EP, when you guys, so it released in May. When you guys were getting ready to release it, what was the plan? Did you guys drop some singles before that to tease it, and then boom, when May hit, drop the rest of it? Or
So tease is a funny word because I feel like we teased this thing for a full year before we even started playing. I mean, we teased the hell out of everything just on social media, telling people, get ready, it's coming, it's coming,
that's
it's
good.
coming.
Yeah, I
The
think it's
pizzas,
good.
they're coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh,
There was no 30 minutes or less with us.
there was no pizzas at all. Actually.
But so when we finally recorded it, like we got back from Nashville right after the New Year and didn't release our first single from it until February 1st, which is a normal timeline. You record it takes a few months to get it
Yeah,
out.
right.
But when
Mixing,
you're promising
mastering.
all this stuff to people and they see, oh, you were just in Nashville, the next day up until that time period, your friends, your family are like, when are we going to get to hear
yeah,
it, man?
clock's
Come
ticking.
on.
You
Like,
got people waiting.
What the hell? Like, I want to hear
you
this
guys went to
song.
Nashville to record.
It was
That-
fun.
Yeah, what was
that's
that like?
cool.
What was that experience
Yeah.
like overall going to Nashville for the purpose of
Did you film the video of "Don't Look Back" when you?
Yeah, that's all
during-
there. Yeah.
the
So
video-
actually,
the video
shout
looked
out
good, by the way.
shout out to our buddy Lance Roscoe. He did all the editing. He came down with us, shot
we're
photos,
tagging
did
him and
video
stuff, too.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's an awesome dude. Really
It was
glad to
cool
have
that
met
he
him through this
came. We were
process.
like, we wanted somebody that just wasn't the four of us to film some stuff while we were there. And I honestly had this impression of like somebody coming down with an iPhone and just like kind of collecting
Like in
some
your
stuff.
face.
Yeah.
Just collect like
an Android phone or something.
right
That's
something.
it.
That's
Come
what
in
I
a music
thought.
studio.
And so he's really good friends with Potsy, or what? I mean, he's really good friends with all of us now. But that's the connection that was there. And he was like, well, that's my buddy. He likes to do, film work, and we'll see if he wants to come down. And we're like, yeah, offer him. If he wants to come down, we'll pay for his stay and everything, and he could just film us for the weekend. And he was like, of course I want to come. And he comes, he has, like, all of this actual real-life equipment. I was like, oh, this kid is
Real life.
legit.
It's
Yeah,
legit.
Real life, yeah.
Like all of his equipment probably costs double what our record costs. Like,
So, but he just, he like, I think, he immediately like became part of the team a little bit, and he just he gathered all that great footage, and it was
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, the
put
video
it
looks
together.
great
Yeah.
overall.
It
That's
looks
something
good
I wanted
and-
to bring up. The video looks great.
And
So-
meaningful too. Like
Yeah,
that's what was
right.
cool about it. I guess.
yeah, so a lot
captures
of
the
what you
whole
see in that video is what happened in the studio. It was a lot of just play the songs 20 times in a row over and over again, then do your individual tracks, this, that, and the other. But a lot of it was just like, while somebody was in there, you're just sitting on the couch, goofing around, like in awe of what John's doing on Pro Tools because you've just never been in that like
Oh
situation.
yeah, it's so
before.
cool. Like your first time, like in a professional studio, especially
Yeah.
if you're there to record your own music. Like you
Right.
get to see like
Yeah, you're
somebody
like, oh my
else's
God.
mastermind, and it's
Yeah.
so cool to hear your music actually come together versus
right,
like you're
right.
jamming. Yeah, this is cool. Everything sounds great, but then once you go into the studio, it's like this is real. This is it.
It's life changing.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you have an appreciation for what people do to make
Absolutely.
the music happen. Like, I mean, bands are so much more than the 4 people that play the instruments. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it's
there's a team. There's a team that goes behind everything.
We had our buddy Brent down to help with equipment and pedals and stuff. So it was like even just us going down there was more than just the 4 of us.
Yeah.
So and then it was. I think Bryce said at the one time really good. We were obviously becoming friends, and I mean, we were already friends at one point, but we really became a band when we were in Nashville.
You learn a lot more about each other.
Yeah, we were stuck inside of a little Airbnb, like the size of this table, and for 4 days, and then we were recording 10-hour days, and we became a band then.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
What's really cool, and I would recommend this to any band that can or wants to do it, is that when you go somewhere else to record, you're forced to stay together unless you're staying in other hotel rooms. And it's really bonding, but you get to learn everything about everyone. Like if you want to get to know your bandmates, stay with them for 4 days while you're recording.
You'll learn everything.
It was cool. Like we'd be sitting in the Airbnb.
Fell off my chair.
No worries,
Sorry
man.
about
Stay afloat. But you'd be sitting in the Airbnb, and they were like, you know what? We have tomorrow off. What do you guys want to do? And we are like, let's just go explore the city. And we went out, and we were like so giddy. We're in and out of music shops, like with the biggest smiles on our faces, looking like the biggest tourists in the world. And people were coming up to us, you guys are in a band, aren't you? And we're like, yeah, how could you tell? They're like, because everyone here that looks like you is traveling in a band. Like, they're like, it's just so normal there. Whereas, like, again, coming from Youngstown, you say you're doing something other than just working, and they're like, oh, that's so inspiring. I'm going to tell my buddies.
Or they make fun of it.
Or they make fun of it, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Yeah, that's not real.
Which we're pretty fortunate. Our family and friends have been all super supportive.
I think that's so important.
That's one of the biggest things you need as an artist is
yeah.
like your family and everybody around you to be supportive.
And
It's
there's
not
realistic steps too. You take. I think if you're going to go like, I really want to pursue music, do it, but don't go with the mindset of like, I'm gonna be a fucking rock star.
Exactly.
Easy.
Right.
Like, why don't you put work into your music and then earn your status to like be on the stage?
Yeah, you definitely got to be humble. You got to plan things. Like you guys seem like you're really good at planning things. So that's
we try.
Yeah, those are some of the biggest elements in being successful. And so far, it seems like you guys are on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, we have fun with it.
Yeah,
I mean that at the end of this conversation, like. At this part in time, like we just have fun with it, and I think that's what makes it work. Is that nothing? Anything gets stressful at time. I mean, you get playing kickball in the backyard and you stub your toe, and you're like, "Fuck!" But like, I mean, you know what I mean. But it's just like it. You got to have fun with it because it's a passion.
Right.
And when you're on stage doing your thing, that makes it so much cooler for the fans too to see that interaction where you guys are having fun because that energy feeds into the crowd,
right.
And then everybody else is having fun.
Absolutely.
This is the part of the podcast where we feature some music. This one's called Lost Again by the Broken Relics.
My stubborn heart's freezing with the rain. Oh no, not again. Tries to tie me down yet again, but no, I won't go. So take my hand, we could change the night. You could freeze for me while I patch my
back to the podcast.
And so now Zach and Alex, I almost matched up your name. Sorry. So we're
No worries, man.
Yeah. Answer from both of you here. Okay. What's the biggest thing you've learned from the Broken Relics right now? Your trip to Nashville, your recording from the start to right now, sitting at this table at Craft.
I
and
think
Vinyl.
the biggest thing I've learned, and I don't know if I've said this yet, but like to them, but is just not being a control freak, because it's in my nature to control everything. It's in my nature to be like, hey, I wrote this song, like I know you're the singer, I know you're the guitarist, but play these parts. I just want to see how it comes out, and just learning to like take what everyone gives you and make something happen with your part, or taking what everyone gives you and be like, oh, let's try this, but I'm not open to going back to what you guys said. And I think that's the biggest thing I've learned, is just to be patient and work as a team rather than be like, oh, it's fully my responsibility to make things happen. Because there's stuff that they've done that I couldn't do, and there's probably stuff that I've done that they couldn't do. I mean, it's just like, and everything else in my life, I've been like, oh, I have to go do it on my own, or like, no,
That's
I don't
what's
need
cool
your
about
help,
being in
even
a
if you're
band.
giving it
You
to
you
me.
have other
Yeah.
people's creative input, and it's like other people think of things that you would never think of.
Yeah.
Or you think of, like you said, you think of things that no one else would ever think of.
Yep.
And when you put those things together, it makes something magical.
Yeah. That's the one thing I was thinking that's kind of off of his, but I'll think of something different too. It's
that's mine now.
Like the one mindset that I kind of took into it, from some different business classes that I had in school and stuff, is some of the most successful entrepreneurs are the people who realize what their weaknesses are and then bring in people to help work on those, or so like I think relating that to this, because at one point I was it's a lot more open now that everybody's in it and everything, but at one point I was kind of like herding them around, like, hey, we're a band now, this is how we have to do stuff. And I think learning to, like you said, get to what my weaknesses are and whose strong suits are what, and then kind of like helping to put that all together to be the band. I would say the one big thing that I have really not so much learned, but have realized and kind of just has been proven, I think, accurate, is truly if you put in the work, like, things will start to get done. I think that's just like to be able to, like, actually, you hear that all the time, and it's like, oh well, if you do the work,
it's so true. Though.
But it's been nice. Yeah. It's been really nice to see that actually play out for something that I like to do. It's like, okay, we've really been working crazy hard on it, and it's actually happening. And I think just that, like, that little concept alone, once I realized that, was like all I needed to keep going. Now
and
I'm like, good.
I think to further kind of give an example of what you're talking about is, so we put out the EP,
right,
and that could have been the stopping point, or not the full stopping point, but for the year that could have been like, all right, this is the highlight. We're just going to play a few shows, but we're going to see how this thing streams. We're going to see how it does. But it was like, that was like a chapter, and then we turned the page, and then it was like, all right, the EP's out. Now let's start playing shows. Then we started playing shows, and we're like, all right, now let's start advertising and see if we can branch out to different cities.
Next?
And that's kind of what we're doing now.
Next? Yeah.
And now we're kind of like, we're freshly starting the conversation of possibly getting back in the studio to record some new songs. We don't know when that's going to be. We don't know who it's going to be with yet, but just kind of like that progression. And Kevin Hart says it. He's like, people always ask me what's next, and it's because I'm always doing something next, because I'm never content. I never want to settle. I never want to stop. And that's kind of how we feel. Like, I could be playing Blossom and I'd want Wembley. You know what I mean? It's just like you never.
But that's
wanna
what'll
stop.
set you guys apart from other bands.
Well, I mean, every band's their own band, and I fully believe that. If you want to just be a local band, like, there's no problem with that.
There's no shame in any of it. But that's what that's what makes you guys
music
different.
great, is that it's art. I mean, you can go buy stuff at Pottery Barn, or you could go buy stuff on High Street that gets made here. I mean, they're both great, but like, so. Maybe a weird example, but
it was a little weird. the pottery, but
you've lost me from the beginning. I know. No, I really do. I think that's just such like a wholesome answer from you two. Like that, it's really cool that to hear your guys' mindset and where you're at in your music, because now that gets me excited to think about, okay, like with Reverence started here, but they don't want to stop. So what's next? Mm-hmm. And I guess that's my question is, what's next? What's the next big project for you guys?
So I'd say the
I'll
next
do this
big next big step that we have been working on is playing in some different cities.
Get your name out there, I guess.
Starting to play some different cities, starting to get our name in, just like slowly, spreading out while still building what we have here in Columbus and Youngstown too. So
And with playing in new cities comes networking, meeting new bands in those cities.
Right.
So like,
one of the best parts about this whole thing has been just meeting some of these other bands.
You meet some of the coolest people in the world.
Yeah,
like
they're just great people. It's been so much fun playing with different bands and meeting new people through it. And that's the one thing that I love about the Columbus music scene is it's very, everybody kind of works together, and it's this
like
really
a family.
it's not a competition.
cutthroat.
Yeah, it's not cutthroat.
I don't
or
think it
anything.
should be a competition,
Right,
because then
no,
everyone
no.
fails. Because then,
Everybody's trying to sabotage
well,
each
you know
other.
what?
and
I
stuff.
think it should be a competition. In the aspect of like who's going to put on the better performance, because I think that will mean in the long run of like who's going to
And I think
in a positive aspect.
But everyone
Right,
should
exactly.
be everyone should be supporting each other.
Right,
Yeah.
and I think we're very competitive people at nature. We've all played sports and everything, so I think there's always going to be that competitive aspect internally where we're like we need to prove ourselves and blah blah blah.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's it. I mean, playing in Columbus, it's like you can just have a great conversation with any of the bands you play with. It's just that's been so much fun. So as we play new cities, meeting those new people who could be like, hey, like I want to play a show here, and we've like brought a couple bands up to Youngstown with us. We brought some bands in from different cities to play in Columbus. So kind of like sharing the network a little bit.
Yeah, and you're helping each other out.
Yeah,
which is
exactly.
cool.
And then other than playing shows, we're talking about what's next for recording. Like we said, we want to don't want to stop. I think we're going to go in and record a little bit to have something out in the fall. But our next big project will be we're looking more towards the winter recording, spring, kind of almost like a year later from with Reverence in a way.
Okay.
So we're looking to have some stuff out before that, and definitely more details to come.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, how would you describe your sound to anybody listening to this that hasn't heard you yet?
I think the thing we keep going back to is Kings of Leon with like Southern rock influence.
I think it's pretty accurate.
That's a really good
because,
one.
I mean, Kings of Leon, because they have very Southern rock influences too. So it's like we kind of like the way I say it, it's like very classic rock infused Kings of Leon.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
With a Southern tinge and a Northeast Ohio grit. That's the little line I came up with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
I like that. I saw that on Spotify.
Right,
That's something I wrote down. Yeah.
Because like the Black Keys are from down the street from us essentially. I mean they're from Akron. That's about 30 minutes away from Youngstown. So relative to the big world we live in, they're right down the street, and they were one of those bands for me personally growing up where when they hit it big, I was like, oh my God, you're allowed to make it big from Northeast Ohio. It was just like
It's cool to see that because you
Right.
never,
Yeah,
you're like, okay, you know what? People do make it from where
that
I'm
could
from.
happen. So I
Right.
think
And you're allowed to make it big playing gritty rock and roll.
Gritty rock and roll. So it's like,
Exactly.
well,
so
rock and roll's not dead, and I think
Rock
that's
and roll's
like
never
the biggest
dead.
thing
Yeah, I
ever.
agree.
Yeah,
And that's a lot of these new bands, even who've come within the last 5 years that I've heard. That's definitely proven that. And I think the Black Keys was that first band for me where I was like, oh, your rock and roll is still cool. So it's like there's like that Northeast Ohio grit and involved in it. But yeah, Kings of Leon's the big center point for all four of us.
Yeah, I think
for
it's
sure.
the one
They're-
band that
they're my
like,
favorite.
ties all of our interests.
Yeah.
Yeah, something you can all agree on. Right
Yeah.
there, just rock.
I mean, there's other bits and pieces that we incorporate. Like, he's been doing a lot of delay and like studying the Edge from U2
U2,
and trying to
yeah.
incorporate that, which I think he does really well with some of our songs.
Big
And,
U2 guy.
I mean, I've
Can't
always
go wrong with you too.
Right.
I've always like admired like big bass players like Victor Wooten. I mean, Flea is a good one.
Yeah.
Primus is a band, but it's just like we're
Primus
not that
rules, dude.
I love Primus.
Les Claypool is so
He's
good.
the man.
He's
But
cra-
it's just
he's
like
crazy.
that style of bass playing doesn't fit our music, but I still try and pull aspects.
You can
lead-
still learn
it's a-
something from it
Well, it's
because those
exactly.
guys are
a lead bass part. I
Yeah.
like to think. I always think of Lenny from Motorhead.
Oh, Lemmy, yeah.
Lemmy.
Rest in peace.
I love that. I love that idea. I mean, that's what was cool about like funk music was like the bass is a lead instrument.
Yeah.
And I think
And that's
you
Lenny did. He was just because Motorhead's great.
Yeah.
But he played the bass like a rhythm guitar.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
like so it's like
In your face and
making the bass your own actual instrument. Which I think you do really well instead of just like subsiding into
just covering the root notes, just,
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
just kind of filling in what you have to
Right.
fill in. Yeah,
So, but yeah, we have influences from all over. Like I'm a blues guitarist, AC/DC fan from at heart. That's how I taught myself guitar to AC/DC. So it's like and if you go back and listen to a lot of the solos, you'll hear Angus style licks.
A lot of pentatonic scales.
A lot of
type
pentatonic
yeah.
scales, stuff like that. And so we all Bryce, he's a big into the Lumineers and some like Mumford and Sons and some folk stuff, and that's
Okay.
big on his writing and his. I think his voice matches, or not matches, but
it
fits
definitely
that
fits
kind
that
of
kind of
style.
theme. Yeah, I can see that.
So it's we have a big wider array of influences, which is pretty cool. It's kinda fun.
It's cool to hear them all come together
Right.
into what you guys sound like, because I think everything you guys have talked about, like I feel elements of all of them in your music, which
Yeah.
is really cool.
Yeah.
So you guys mentioned playing with a lot of bands, local bands. What are some of the bands around Columbus that you've played with that you've really enjoyed?
Definitely Thomas and the Workmen, Cream Camino. Like those are the ones that
we've
stick
played
out.
with them
that
a lot,
we've played a lot.
and they've just become like really good friends of ours.
Yeah,
too.
Cream
So
Camino
it's
is
been-
incredible. Those guys are
been
so
great.
cool.
Yeah.
We talk about
those
them on
guys.
almost
Yeah, we're
every
playing
other
with them,
podcast because it comes up.
We're
but-
playing with them tomorrow night. Letters of Transit's having an EP release, so we're gonna go. Support
Yeah, we're
those
going to try to
guys.
be there because that's going
That'll
to
be
be
a
a
fun
killer
show.
show.
Fun, yeah.
But
So, yeah.
more recently too, Souther, Zoo Trippin', and
yeah.
a lot of these bands that have just kind of made a name for themselves throughout Columbus. We're trying to play with them and branch out, and not because we're trying to say we're aspiring to be bigger, but because we just want to build our like
With that.
tight net
Yeah.
circle, just
For
so
sure.
that like everyone can kind of like share the wealth with each other and just
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So it's been a lot of fun just getting to know all of these different bands that we wouldn't have known if we weren't.
Oh,
playing
yeah.
Never
together.
Exactly.
met otherwise. Yeah.
And that definitely puts on some killer shows.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you guys ever get worried like your music will fit into a certain lineup with other bands, like genres and stuff? Do you like mixing genres and stuff, or what do you think?
I'd say, yes and no a little bit. I think we are, what's the word I'm looking for? Like aware of it. We try to make ourselves aware of what the lineup actually is, if it would flow, So I think to an extent we want to make sure our style will fit well, but I don't think we're not necessarily. I like we would play with just about anybody, and I don't know if it would necessarily, unless it was something extreme, we would say no. So I feel like, but I mean, we're very like, I can't think of the word. That's something we definitely pay attention to.
Yeah.
When it
Something
comes
you got to be
up.
conscious of.
Conscious of.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay,
the word.
that's
Yes.
what we're thinking
Yes,
of.
conscious of it.
Yeah, I think there's limits because
Yeah.
we're not going to go and play with like a death metal band.
Yeah,
It
right. I mean, I
it
couldn't
just
see you guys,
seemed
like,
weird.
on a
It would just
hip-hop
seem a
build.
little
Right.
strange.
Well,
exactly.
it could be
It wouldn't
unfair
make
to the
sense.
fans, maybe too.
Yeah, I
Like,
was
if
about to
you,
say,
if
we
you go
don't
see a
want
metal
to
show,
Give
like,
anybody any false.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Now, if it's
Yeah.
like a festival or like a local festival or Comfest or something, like who cares? It's like that's
Just-
like a
just music
sampler
in
of
the air,
music.
yeah.
You're just there to try and
that's a good way to put that.
Yeah,
Sampler
like-
music. The tour of
exactly
music in Columbus.
Right.
But as far as like when we play shows, I mean, it's really. I think people reach out to us, and we reach out to people that we feel would make for a great night of live music.
For sure.
Sweet.
And
For
we're
sure.
not necessarily looking for like, oh, do you have 2 guitars, a drums, we don't care. Like we
They
just
sound
like,
good,
Yeah,
then
you
you-
sound
yeah.
good. We like your music. We think you'd make
Good
for
people.
a great night, and
Yeah.
we think we can keep people entertained, and that's what we do. So.
For sure. And now, with everything you guys have done so far, what are you the most appreciative of?
Oh, for
Support.
sure, support and just people actually coming out, and
Yeah.
we've our friends and family, like we said, have been coming out to a lot of shows. A lot of our friends around here come out to shows and actually pay money to come in and watch.
It's so cool to see you guys because you guys have such a crowd. You guys have like an entourage that comes with you. I love that.
We got a little crew who comes, and we've been starting to make some actual fans, like of people who we've never met up until they've seen us, and it's still. I don't know if I'll ever get used to it. It's just a weird. It was like, wow, you've never met us ever, and you like our music enough to come pay money to see us.
Crazy how music can do that.
Small and level, it's still crazy.
It's also support in more than one meaning. I mean, like Troy has given us a tremendous amount of support.
Yeah.
You guys being here, like it's supporting us. Like we appreciate that, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And
even just a little,
it's just been such a great.
Everything
experience.
down to a social media post that includes us is just like still the weirdest thing. You know?
Wasn't it crazy how music can do that? Like,
it's the small thing.
You can make some sounds, and all of a sudden, people like want to come,
like talking about it. Yeah,
it
like
attracts
coming
people.
to see it. Yeah, so just that the support overall, like you said, and just in all forms of the word, has just been amazing.
For sure. It's humbling.
I think that's like a really cool feeling, like in any like aspect, like someone singing a song you wrote along with you.
Oh my god, I know.
Or like
The first time we saw
great.
crowd members singing "Don't Look Back," it was just like you almost stopped singing because you wanted to hear them sing it back.
Yeah, you're just like, whoa,
It's like, here, play the bass part too.
You've heard this?
When we played anytime we play in Youngstown, it's just a blast. And I think it was like the first show that we played there. We had a really big crowd, and we got to the chorus, and the people were louder than us singing. And I was like, I actually like almost messed up playing. I mean, granted, a lot of them were our friends and friends of friends for that first show, because that was like probably the second time we played ever. But still, just like even then, it was kind of like a really weird.
It was just cool to realize like people actually give a shit.
You're like, people actually, because a lot of people don't learn the lyrics off of one time listening to it.
Well,
So
you
like,
guys
that
are doing
means
something,
these people
you're doing
have
something right. You're doing
these people have
something-
actually listened to this and they enjoy it.
It's been a crazy year. It's been nuts. So
For sure.
So I guess bringing things to an end here, the Broken Relics, what do you want everyone to know about you? What do you want them to know about your future plans, your music? If you could tell someone anything, what would it be?
I guess I want people to know that like we're a group of 4 guys that are just like everyone else, but we have fun doing this, and we're gonna be around for a little while. Like I don't see us fading out anytime soon.
Good.
I don't see any big life decisions that are gonna like alter anyone's path into doing something else. I mean, we've played music our whole lives, and we finally found a group that is not just worth sticking in, that we enjoy being a part of. And I don't want people to be like, oh, this EP is great, but they're a local band, like they won't do anything else. Like we're gonna keep pushing. I mean, we plan to be here 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. And so that's what we want people to know, is that we're serious about it. And if they like our music, like, please stick with us, please follow us, listen to us, because we will keep putting out more, and we will keep trying to branch out and travel as much as we can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say adding to that, for sure, the one big thing is we're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. We're going to keep going. And I would say the big thing about the music is, with everything we write, whether it's fun and upbeat or serious, we try to stay very true to all of our lyrics and everything, and we're trying to make music that people can listen to and make their day better. If they're going through a tough time, they can listen to our tunes and either even if it's a somber tune, and listen to it, that help them get through something. It's like the one thing about music that is stuck with me is just truly how powerful it is. It saved me through growing up. It's been the one point of my life that has affected me, and it's like, if we could do that for one person, then that's really all that matters. So it's like our tunes are there to help, and we want to, we are thinking much larger than just for the sake of playing. I think that's my big thing. Is like this is all real life, honest, raw rock and roll, even as
Yeah,
alternative as it may be. And I think there's a craving for that right
And
now,
we all
whether
have
they know it or not.
we all have goals and intentions, but I mean, our goal is to have fun. Our goal is for people to enjoy it. Our goal isn't to travel the world and get rich. I mean, if that comes along with it, that would be great.
Sweet
Everyone
bonus.
aspires for that, but I mean,
We're
it's-
we're aspiring for
like,
it, but
I love the reaction you get out of people. Like, to me, that is worth more than anything in the world. Like, that something that we did made somebody's day better or life better or just like even a week at work better just listening to our song. Like, that's what it's all about for me.
yeah.
And that's what we're going to
and
continue
then
to
as
do.
large of a scale as we could get to for that, the better. You know?
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
what it's all about. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, cool. I really appreciate you guys coming and being on the show today. Where can they find you at? Where can they find your music at?
Oh, this is Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. We're on Facebook. We have a website, thebrokenrelics.com. We sell merchandise on Amazon,
YouTube.
YouTube's a big one.
Yeah, you can find us
SoundCloud, even
all of
just
this
any streaming
streaming,
platform, whatever your preference is.
Yeah, and follow us on all the social medias that we have, and keep an eye out. Like I said, we're probably going to have some new stuff coming here pretty soon.
We'll make sure to share everything out. So, thanks again, guys. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Guys,
thank you guys so much for
It's
having
been
us.
awesome.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it was
it.
really fun.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. Once again, make sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Enkindle Columbus. Now, here's a song, Where the Creatures Roam by the Broken Relics.
So I keep a loaded gun in my mind since the day you left. It's cold when you're walking alone by that dark fence with reverence. The pain that keeps conquering me, I can't find refuge, I'm sold inside. Your phone, it keeps ringing alone, I'm waiting for answers while I'm on the road. Do you think you are tearing a family from my arms? The dark, yeah, kicked you out, but just hanging around now, so fucking empty. Begging God for your life to give me some kind of sight. keep a loaded gun by my bed frame, just in case I'm done.